it was always very confusing with all the one-ways. I'm like, why is the bus driving away from the arena? It didn't make sense to me at the time, but I've since figured it out.
Look forward to that facility.
Oh, I'm fired up.
Okay. Caitlin, David Letterman is a past winner of this same award. Saw that he was along with you two celebrating your jersey retirement. Also noted with great interest, one of our hottest places in the city for visitors is Long's Donuts. What's your favorite donut? How many did you eat? Who paid?
I didn't pay. Even though inflation hasn't hit that place, I don't know.
Caitlin, you're 90.6% from the free throw line. My question is, do the noisemakers make a difference when you're shooting free throw?
Well, usually all the fans are cheering for us. Quiet. Some of those moments are what make me the most tired. I appreciate Coach Rima coming and getting me. Unfortunately, Steph was going to sub me out anyway, so I didn't have to. I could catch my breath on the bench, but like everybody knows that's how I play. So I think just being active, like, you know, I can be a really good defender when I choose to, and when I work really hard on it, and not conserve energy. So
this is for Caitlin. Triple-double today. Not the first one in your career, but you had 4 blocks out there. That's more than you ever had in college. Matches your WNBA career high. Felt like you were channeling the spirit of Gabby Marshall out there with the blocks. Is that a part of your game that you've been working on in the postseason? Are we going to see more blocks out of you as your career goes?
Not really something you can work on.
Caitlin and Aaliyah, can you kind of go through the little issue there? What happened when you got the flagrant? Aaliyah, you got a technical. What happened there?
Amy got the tech?
I know.
Wait, what?
I got the tech?
I didn't know that.
Oh,
first of all, let's not make it anything that it's not. It was just a good play on the basketball. I'm not sure what the refs saw to upgrade it, and that's up to their discretion. I appreciate you guys, but I wasn't your biggest fan. I didn't like the Tigers growing up, so my parents, my grandfather was the football coach growing up, and Valley was our biggest rival. It was the biggest class in Iowa. And I was taught to, growing up, if we were driving by the high school, to hold my breath because I couldn't breathe that air. Like, I know, it's kind of funny, but like, rivalry is always a big thing.
So your pair of cookies that you're bringing out tonight?
Yes. Yeah.
What went into the decision to wear those? Are they custom? Which you go with?
They're custom, so you won't get them. But I think they're the Rookie of the Year Kobe PEs, so. There's a picture that the Fever took after the season when I had my trophy. I was in my red uniform, so that's what they're based off of. Nike designed them, they did well, so. Yeah.
We did both when you 94 them.
Yes. I've been wearing them in practice, but I take them off before you guys get there, sorry. Yeah, I know.
Is she practicing to stand up with you, gone through any routines? I assume it works with those in?
I give her bits to work on, honestly, so I don't know if she actually works on them, but I think they're funny. But yeah, I don't know. I tried to get her to practice on me, her stand-up bit, but she won't do it, so she's got to save it for everybody, but I'm sure it'll be really funny knowing her. She's just very sly and witty, and always has something to say, like, less than a second after you say something, so I don't doubt that it's going to be amazing. I mean, if I don't get hit, maybe I'm off balance at this point. I don't know. Something to look into.
Fever season was 25 years ago. Do you know who the original number 22 was?
What?
Do you know in that season, can you guess how many points a game she averaged?
Putting me on the spot. I should have studied up.
Yeah, media guy.
Probably pass the ball well, but 8?
7.2. Well done.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And you know, I think what people need to understand, you know, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. What this league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, you know, Fee said it all with what she said, and you know, I think the points she made were very valid.
Had you heard that story from her before
No.
she said it publicly? And then have you spoken with Kathy Engelberg at all since then?
No.
Chloe? We'll jump over to Will.
just with working back to full health, Steph mentioned that it was kind of baby steps and getting back and making sure you don't lose what you've worked on this season. Just what are your plans for the off season and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, I mean, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose kind of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health. Like some USA basketball stuff I need to get ready for, and you know, I need to be able to find some runs and some ways to play 5-on-5, just so I can kind of get that feel back. And but more than anything, I think my main focus is really just getting my body healthy, and once we get back to 5-on-5, like just being able to test my body and make sure I know it's in a good spot where it's going to be able to help hold up with everything that, you know, we think we've corrected or we think we've worked on, to be able to know I'm in a really good spot there. And you know, when you go through injuries, especially in my scenario where it's been a few of the reoccurring kind of bouncing around, which isn't necessarily uncommon in my situation just because of compensation, and you know, when you're dealing with things in that groin area, that just is kind of how it can go sometimes. I think it's important that you can become confident in your body again, and that's for anybody that goes through injury. So that's probably going to be my main focus, is, you know, just feeling 100% again, and then obviously, you know, having that confidence in my body too. But like, you have that here, and I think that just speaks, like, I always say, like, obviously I'm from Iowa, like Indianapolis, I understand it's a big city, but it doesn't really feel that way to me. Like, it's a very close-knit group, like everybody supports one another, but then you have the professional sports teams, and that's what everybody's most passionate about here, and that's what I love about it. You know, people really show up. A lot of these fans, like these have been their teams since they've been 5 years old. This is all they've known. These are the only teams they've cheered for, and you know, to have this type of success across the board. Obviously the Colts have had an amazing start to their season, and the Pacers run last year, and then everything we've been able to persevere and, you know, reach the WNBA semifinals. Like, it's a really special time in this city, and you know, I can't imagine myself in a better place, and just really fortunate to have, you know, made different friendships with different athletes across the city, and just have the support from not only the city but the state as a whole.
Well, Elliot and then Brad in the room. Try to jump to those.
Hey, there.
Sorry.
I'm French, by the way. The Pacers played in NBA Paris game.
Yeah.
And there is also the NCAA games in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you like to see a WNBA Paris game?
I would love it. I would love it. I would go anywhere and play. I think that would be, as I said earlier, like, we're in a moment in time where, you know, the WNBA has never been hotter. There's never been more fans. There's never been more international fans of the game, and that's where you can really grow, is in the international space. And I think the NBA has done a tremendous job of that. And you know, I would love to go play over there. You know, I think it'd be really fun. I think it, you know, obviously there's quite a few, you know, obviously if it's in Paris, there's some great French players on other teams as well that could make it exciting. Obviously the Pacers played WNBA over there, and I know they had an amazing time getting to do that. So I would be very open to that. I think it would be, you know, great for the league to, you know, try that out, see how it goes, and I'm pretty positive it would go well. So I would love it.
Brett?
Caitlin, this was not an ideal situation for you this season, but how much of an element of basketball learning were you able to get in having an extended period to just sit and watch and observe and be in the huddle and almost take on the role of another set of coaching eyes with this group this season?
I mean, it's not what I envisioned by any means, but, you know, I've talked with a few people about this. I think, you know, when I get a few years down here in my career, like, I think this is a moment in a season I'll look back on and be like, this is why I am who I am today. And that's obviously probably pretty challenging to think in that way right now, but I truly believe that. And, you know, it was hard sitting on the bench, I'm not gonna lie. There were certainly some hard days, but, you know, I think it taught myself how to be a really good leader and how to be a really good teammate, and how to empathize for your teammates in certain situations. You know, when you're in the heat of battle, your emotions are high, and you know, you feel things differently. And I think when you're on the sidelines and you don't have your jersey on, you can observe and really watch people and learn about people. And, you know, I don't think it was so much for me like the basketball. I mean, like, obviously you learn about basketball. That's always how I've learned. I've been a basketball junkie. Like, you watch games, you watch the NBA, you watch college, you just have basketball on. That's the best way to improve your IQ. But also to learn about people and ask them questions and watch the way they operate. And for myself, getting to do that with my teammates, I think is probably the biggest lesson I learned. And just, you know, how can I show up every single day and, you know, pour into them and be there for them, but also, you know, going forward down the road, like if I have a teammate that's injured or hurt or going through a tough moment, like I know I will always show up for them and be there for them and check in on them, because it is an incredibly isolating thing and you don't realize that until you go through it. And, you know, everybody says it, like, but you don't feel it unless you go through it. So I think all of that is probably what I learned most.
We're gonna jump over.
You know, everybody knows my first NIL deal was with Hy-Vee, the greatest grocery chain of all time, based in Des Moines, Iowa, baby. So, best chocolate Long Johns around. But, you know, I think that's the way in which, like, you know, young women are coming into this league now with that type of, you know, I don't even want to say it's money, but they're beginning to build their brands in college, and then they're bringing that to the WNBA. So I think that's just the way in which the league has changed and will continue to evolve. And like, that's my main point. You know, like I said, we are in the biggest moment in WNBA history. There's no denying that. Everybody knows that, and everybody that's in a place of power has a true responsibility, and even myself, we have a responsibility to make sure that this game is in a great place going forward with the CBA, and, you know, caring for our players, and, you know, building this league to make sure it's in a great spot for many years to come, because you all know I grew up as a huge fan of this league, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this the league that, you know, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a girl in college is really proud of to come into, and to be able to put a WNBA uniform on, and, you know, that's what they dream of, and then hopefully they can accomplish that goal, because that's exactly who I was, and that's, you know, really at the end of the day, like, I hope that's what my legacy can be, is just how I impacted people to be able to maybe want to be in the WNBA, but to really just achieve whatever they want to achieve. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there on your question, but yeah, that's all I got for you.
Last one, Brian.
Lexi Hall and the way that she kind of found her game a little bit offensively there later in the season. I'm curious what you saw from her just in terms of her development and how she adjusted to the way teams defended her.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lexi is, obviously, as you guys know, she's one of my good friends, so I don't really have many bad things to say about her. But every team in this league should want a Lexi Hall type of player on their team. That's just, never once have I seen her be disappointed in the amount she played. And I was here at the beginning of last year when she was getting DNPs, and she was the exact same person as she is right now. As, you know, probably she turned into our third option offensively, because, you know, we lost so many players, but also, like, she embraced that and she worked for that and she wanted to be in that moment. And you know, I think she's really flourished and her game has improved quite a bit. She's always been such a tenacious defender, and obviously you all know she's had some back troubles throughout the end of this playoffs here. And I'm like, Lex, like, you just play reckless. Like, you're like, I was holding my breath those last few games, but that literally just sums up the type of person